Hello, a very good morning to you on another very lovely sunny day. Today I'm going to be making with you some pin necklaces. They are, as always, very straightforward and enjoyable to make. We've done similar before, but this time I'm going to add even more beautiful bicones. They are very pretty, very colourful. There are 4 colours to choose from. You can have 2 in silver, so 4 colour options, but each necklace set, which is what I'm going to be making with you today, a necklace, though they do make pretty earrings as well, will have 3 colours of beautiful crystals in each one. So you can change that up if you wanted to have 3 different colours and use all of one. I've tried to combine them. In fact, rather than chat at you, there you go. Now this one is looking, oh there we go, got a little bit more focus. I've been trying to clean my lens this morning. There is a slight delay on my camera. We will see how we get going. Hopefully it won't switch off and it will be all working accordingly. I'll keep wiggling my hands underneath it and I'll keep tapping the screen. So as you can see, we've got beautiful colours in each of these. They are very summery, they are very beautiful, and I've named them. I've given them funny names as well because I was being one with nature. So I'm going to say a very quick good morning to you all, and then I'll take you over to the website and you can see the offer that we've got on for you today. Each kit is making 2 necklaces up. And as I say, you can amend that how you wish, how you'd like it to sit. So let me say good morning to you. Hello to lovely Nina. She says good morning everyone from a sunny Leicester. I hope you're doing well. Rachel says it's a sunny morning in Barrow. Anne is here as well. Good morning to you, Anne. Peace and love to Anastasia, who is in Atlanta, and it's 1 minute past 5. Very good early morning to you. Good morning to Jan. She's in a warm and sunny Sudbury. Judith's here. Camille is saying blue skies. She's going to watch me for a little bit. Chef saying, hello, Shafika. How are you doing? She says, good morning, beautiful. Good morning to you too. I don't know whether you're referring to me as beautiful or the makes, probably the latter. Good morning, Elaine. Hello to you. And hello to Joanne, who says, good morning, Natalie and everyone. Beautiful sunshine and blue skies. This is an interesting design. It's really straightforward. It's just turning a loop. We're not even doing any wrap loops. Could you? I suppose you could. Just going to do turned loops instead. Make sure you have your sun cream on. It is, if you're in the sunshine like we are at the moment in the UK, I literally sat outside for, I don't know, maybe an hour, and I'm usually very, very good with putting on my sun cream, but I hadn't put it on the back of my neck, and I didn't notice until later on when I had a little itch and was like, ooh. So make sure you have your sun cream on. I know Simon's burnt himself too. Always put your sun cream on. Good morning to Carol. How are you doing? So over we go to the website, and that's enough of the lecture on sun cream application. Let's go over and check out the website. So we are, of course, the wonderful totallyneeds.co.uk. Still celebrating our wonderful 21st birthday. I can't tell you how proud I am to work for Totally Beads. They are such a fantastic company. I count my lucky stars every Monday and every Wednesday when I'm live, and I get to be here with you all. But of course, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you lovely lot. So thank you for keeping me in a job that I love. So make the most of that offer while it still applies. It's 21% off every order that is over £10 with this code here, BDAY21. Not sure how long it's going to last for, but make the most of it while it does, as is everything in life. So head into the video tutorial section. You can go into it here, drop down menu. You know the score now. You've been with us probably long enough. Though we did have some newbies and somebody from Turkey watching on Monday, which was very nice to see. So today we're doing the Ivy crystal pin necklaces. Now I've called them Ivy because, well, I feel like it grows like ivy does. They kind of weave and interlock with each other to create these lovely pin necklaces, which you can shape in any way you want to, really. Obviously, if I'm using 20 pins today, if you're going to add extra, less, different numbers, you can get a different effect in terms of how it sits, whether you want to make a more kind of pointed or rounded shape with it. And they're all £9.99 for 2 necklaces today. I've called one Lavender Fields, one Sea Breeze, one Summer Meadow, and the other one Sweet Pea. Now, Sweet Pea is what I started off with because I just loved these colours together. But today I think I'm going to demo with Lavender Fields. If you want a multi-buy, there's almost enough there to make a rainbow if you wanted to mix them up. But I'll show you the colours and what's in there. So we have Lavender Fields. 2 necklaces for £9.99. In your kit today, you're going to get enough crystal bicone beads, headpin balls, so they've got the little ball tip finish on the bottom of them. You're going to get some jump rings to attach to your lovely lobster clasp and some chain as well. So again, you could make this where the pins run all the way around the neckline. I decided to add a little bit of chain, excuse me, got a little tickle in my throat. I decided to add a little bit of chain just so it sits comfortably at the back there. But you can see these pins just kind of lock into each other. So it's a really straightforward make to do. And look at all those gorgeous colours. In the Lavender Fields, you've got a lemon chiffon, which is just gorgeous. It's got like AB almost sparkles to it, but it could because I think it is AB, but it could because it's reflecting off the other colours as well. So we've got a purple AB and we've got purple iris. They look absolutely beautiful together, and I'm feeling that look today. So that one's on your gold colourway. We've got the beautiful Sea Breeze, which is your blues. Again, all of the things that you need in this kit, only you'll find in, so your ball pins, your chain, your lobster clasp, your jump rings are going to be silver. And I've put these with the light blue bicones, the light sapphire and Montana AB. They are all 4mm in size, these bicones. Your Headpin Balls are 50mm, which is 5 centimeters. Don't ask me how to do this in inches. I'm trying to convert from metric to everything else. But that will make sure that you've got plenty of space to fit on 6 bicones on each pin. You're still going to have room if you wanted to make it longer, but I've done 2 colours of each. And you compare them however you want. If you wanted to do maybe the light blue all on one pin, you wanted to do the Montana all on another pin and alternate them that way, you can do whatever you want to mix up these designs. So that one is Sea Breeze. I had a lot of fun naming these colours. It was a bit like when I was having a sweet tooth and I named the candy necklaces as well. These are the Summer Meadow. So we've gone for the zesty ones here. If Camille's still watching, I think she'll like this one. So you can see you can make it more pointed and it can sit more this way, or you can do it more rounded. It's just how you kind of alternate those kind of pins. That pin looks like there's less in it there, but there's not. I think it's just the angle of the photograph. So in this one, you've got, don't ask me how to pronounce this, chartreuse, kind of like a zesty green. You've also got light green and you've got yellow as well. I do love that colour. I don't know how to pronounce it. And this is on the gold colourway. So professional. And then we've got the Sweet Pea as well, which is gorgeous. This is the one that I put together first. They're just like baby blues. So we've got aqua opaque, pink opaque and white opaque. So they're like baby blues, soft baby pinks. I've put this on the silver. Of course, if you really wanted to, you could swap it over. So you might think, actually, I'd rather have this on the gold. You can do whatever you want. If you want to add any extra goodies into your bag, all you're going to need is your pins really, and then your chain and your findings. So this one is your Sweet Pea. So 4 lovely colours, but really loads of colour in there because you're getting 3 colours of your 4mm bicone in each necklace. So I hope you like them. As I say, they are an awful lot of fun to make. She says she's still here. Hello. So let's see if I've missed anybody. If you've got any questions, do feel free to drop me a comment in the chat if we're live. If not, leave me a comment on I'll try and go back and always check the comments on YouTube on the Totally Beads page. You can also find me as well, Natalie Patton Jewellery, I think it's called. And that's on YouTube as well. I'll get a notification if you leave me a comment there, so I can always answer if you've got any questions. Mina says she's been very busy invoicing for work and making lots of jewellery for events on the 17th. Thanks, Camille. Chartreuse. Where would I be without Camille? Like, she always tells me how to say things. Good morning to Esther. How are you doing, my love? She's in a lovely sunny Preston. So let's see if the camera still works. So this is your lavender fields. I'll just move them so I can show you the combination of the colours. Look at them. So we've got the purples, the ABs and the sparkle. It's so sparkly, the camera just doesn't know what to do with itself. That is your lavender fields. Please don't look too closely at my nails today. I've been doing a lot of making, like Mina, and a lot of wire work, so they're a little bit yeah. This is your Summer Meadow. I think I named this one because it kind of reminded me of like hay fields, like golden hay fields. These are your greens, your chartreuse and your yellow. And obviously you've got the gorgeous cut on the Bicone, so even extra sparkle, just the way the light catches them and bounces off. Absolutely lovely. Hello, Edward, how are you doing? This one here with the blue combinations in, I named Sea Breeze. Look at those Montanas sparkling away. And then lastly, we've got the Sweet Pea, which is your opaque colours. Really, really pretty and really straightforward to make. So all we're going to need in terms of our tools, I'm going to use some round nose pliers. I'm going to need some wire cutters. I'm using my Tweezers just because I find this is a really good size to turn my pin over, and I'll explain a little bit why in a minute, but you don't need them. You can use chain nose pliers as well. And I'll probably use 2 pairs of chain nose pliers right at the end, or flat pliers, something smooth on the inside, just to open up my jump ring. That's all I'm going to need. I'm also going to need lots of pins. So again, depending on the length that you want to make, I'm going to go for 20. So your ball pins, these will come in gold or silver. These ones particularly have been in my stash for quite some time. So they haven't tarnished, but I'd imagine the ones you're going to get are going to be even better looking. I've literally had these in the bottom of a bag for, I don't know how long. So your ball pin has that little ball tip at the end, which just is going to stop your bead from floating off. You can have a head pin, which has got a flat, like nail tip finish, but I think these are really pretty. They just add that extra little bit of embellishment onto the bottom. So that's all I'm going to need, and my 3 colours of crystals. So when I get my Bicones out, I lay them out in the order that I'd like to put them on the pins, and then it just makes things a whole lot easier for me while I'm making. So get your crystals at the ready, and then all I need to do is just add 6 on. So I'm going to go the lighter purple, that gorgeous lemony sparkle, and then that darker colour. And I'm just going to slide each one onto my pin, and then 1 more time. So I'm going to have 6, so 2 of each colour. Of course, you can put these in whichever order you want to. You could put all of just one colour on, you could exclude one colour, you could do whatever you want. So I like to mix them up. And I've got all of my sparkles on my pin. Now, usually if I'm turning a wrapped loop, I leave a little space to fill with the pin so I can wrap it. You could, if you wanted, do a wrapped loop on this, but the way I'm connecting them, it's far easier to turn a loop. Now, usually when I turn a loop, I want my loop to be turned right at the top of that last bicone, so there's no movement. All of the beads will be fitting close together. But today, I need to do it ever so slightly different. I'm going to leave about 1mm, and that's why I'm using my tweezer-nose pliers, because I'm just going to bend it over that, and I find that is pretty much the perfect size. But if you're using your chain nose pliers or anything else, just leave a tiny little bit of space between the top of the pin and the bicone. Now, I bend my pin first to an almost 90-degree angle, and this means when I cut off the rest of this excess pin and I turn my loop, it's going to sit nice and evenly right at the top of that pin there. Hi Heather, don't worry about being late, you've not missed anything, we're just getting started. Oh, Elizabeth says it is cloudy in County Durham and she's bought all the kits. Well, I'm hoping, Elizabeth, these will cheer you up in terms of bringing the kind of the sunshine to you. I don't know why you've got the cloud. It seems to be lovely everywhere else. It might get a bit nicer later. Joanne says she's loving the lavender fields. Well, here we go. So I'm going to cut my pin, leaving about 1 centimetre. That's going to be enough for a good size loop for me. So I'm leaving 1 centimetre from the top of that bend, just putting my flush cutters on there, and I'm going to give it a little trim. Now I'm using my flush cutters this way round, not this way round, because it will give a nice flush finish with my wire cutters. If I cut it this way round, I'm going to struggle to see where about I'm putting that pin, but it also kind of tapers in, so it's not going to give me that nice flush flat end. And then I'm going to pick up my round nose pliers, and I'm going to hold it right at the tip. So I'm using the tip of the round nose pliers where it tapers, but I'm also using the tip of the pin. So here, I'm going to place my gorgeous bicones in between my hand, so hiding behind my finger, and I'm just going to pop my nail or my thumb just on the top of that bicone to stop it slipping up. And I'm going to give it a little turn. So I'm turning the pin slightly towards me to make that shape. And then I'm going to reposition my hand, so I'm not going to be fighting with my wrist and straining it too much. Reposition my hand, so now my knuckles are away, my hands, my fingers kind of facing up. And then I'm just going to do little rotations all the way around. And when I do it slowly, I mess it up. But you can see there, it's not nice and evenly on the top of the pin. It's more sitting like a P shape than an I. If that's the case, I'm just going to knock it back. So I'll pop my round nose back in just to straighten it up, and I've just made a little loop there, and you can see there's a teeny tiny bit of space now between the bicone and that loop, and that's exactly what we want, and I will show you why in just a second. So again, adding on my bicones using my gorgeous 3 colours, and I've laid them out on the desk just so I can pick up in the same order. So each of my pins will have the same colour order, and I just find that a little bit easier to just kind of work along and work quickly. So I'm putting my 6 bicones onto my pin. I'm going to bend my pin at a 90-degree angle, leaving a tiny little space between the bicone and the bend. I'm going to trim off, leaving about 1 centimetre in length of my pin. I'm going to keep hold of the tail end so it doesn't fire away, and I'll pop them over there in a little pile so I can tidy them up later. Round nose in, finger or thumb rather down just to make sure that bicone's not moving, and turning that pin all the way round into a little loop. You could as well, if you wanted to, make your loops using like bail step pliers, so something like these, and I would use the smallest loop on there. That will kind of ensure that your loops are going to be the same size each time you turn them, but I tend to just go by eye on my round nose pliers. I prefer to turn a loop with the round nose pliers, but of course they are tapered, so depending on how high up towards the handle that you turn the larger your loop's going to be. So if I was bringing it up here, it'd be wider. If I was bringing it closer towards the handle, it'd be wider again. I only need a small loop. So I'm using not the very, very tip, but just probably about, again, 1 millimetre up. And you can also mark on there if you want to. A lot of people will use like a Sharpie or whatever, like a marker pen, and just mark a little line on the pliers so they can line it up. And then they know each time they're turning their pins, then it's going to be exactly the same size. But I just tend to do it by eye. And I also, again, in terms of cutting my pin, I just guess that's about 1 centimetre. If I really, really wanted to, I could keep my offcut and line it up to make sure I'm getting it absolutely precise. But you can see here, the ones I've done already are pretty much exactly the same in terms of my offcut. So it doesn't have to be, you know, an exact science. So popping my round nose towards the end, giving it a little flick up, repositioning my wrist and turning that pin. Don't know what's going on with my turned loops today. They're not quite as good as they should be. We don't want it sitting like a P. We want it upright if we can. So it's sitting on top. And we want to make sure that that loop is fully closed. So I'm just going to make a little pile of these. I'm using 20 pins for this design. Again, you can change that up if you wanted to add less, if you wanted to add an odd number, if you wanted to add in more chain. You could also do this design to make a little pair of earrings. And again, you could put less bicones on if you wanted your kind of stems, shall we call them, to be a little bit smaller. Morning, Sheila. Hope you're doing well. So 6 bicones on, bending over my pin, leaving a tiny little bit of space. Cutting off. And then making sure it's nice and flush so my pin's not sticking out the end. If I was to have a little bit of pin there sticking out, I wouldn't be turning the whole of it. I'd have a little flat bit, and I don't want that. I want to make sure that the whole thing turns. Your pins are nice and soft, so they will turn nicely. There you go. That's a better one. So I'm just going to make my pile of these, and then I'm going to attach them together. So the reason why I left that tiny little space at the top is because I want to attach one pin just below the first bicone. So it's going to fit in that little space there. Oh, wobbling the camera. So I've got enough. Oh, there we go. Just to get that pin in. So to open up my pin, I'm going to give it a little flick to open, and I'm just going to squeeze it on in just next to that very bottom bicone and close my pin back up. And then this is where this kind of ivy effect kind of takes place. So again, I want to make sure that my pin, my loop is fully closed before I open it up. So when I close it again, you know, it's fully closed up there and it's not going to slip off. I'm going to give it a little flick open. I'm going to take the next one and I'm going to slide it on through between the 2 bicones. So it's just going to fit through that bottom one. Now, if I have not left that tiny little space, I'm going to be fighting to get it in between, and we don't want that. We want it to go through with ease. So I'm just opening it up. I'll push that bicone, these 5 bicones back. It's easier when you let just gravity do it, so tip it forward, and then I'm just going to close it over. And then you're creating this chain where they link together, and they will go in kind of opposite directions. So I'm going to have ball pin on that side, ball pin on that side, ball pin on that side, ball end on that side. So you can see that kind of shape starting to take place. Mina says she's got all kits in a basket. but she's got to go and wait for her money as the bank's not happy with her buying too much. I seen you post the other day about the postman. You're keeping him in a job anyway, aren't you? I did a couple before, so I'm just going to attach those on. And you can flip these around as well. So don't worry if you're thinking, oh, I've put it on the wrong way. There's no wrong way and right way of putting it on. You just flip it. So you've got that little wiggle. And you can see already it's starting to grow. So I'm going to be opening up the little loop, sliding it on. You're going to get so many bicones in this kit as well. If you think I only want one necklace, you're going to have loads left over to make lots of other gorgeous jewellery. So it is just that simple of keeping that repetition going. So you might want to make all of your pins first and then just attach them all together at the end, rather than doing it one by one. That's kind of, I think, how I did it. So I'll just move them to the side for now. And I'll make some more pins, folding over the top. Put in my pin, I'm just keeping hold of the extra. Yeah, Camille's saying you could make little boxes if you connect the 4 pins. You absolutely could. You could do all sorts with it. That might be a nice idea for earrings, Camille. So I'd probably put on less of my bicones and make them a bit smaller. In fact, I'll do 4 now and I'll show you what Camille's referring to. See, I do love having this interaction with each other, because obviously when I'm making, I think, oh, I could do that, I could do this. And then you'll watch and you'll think, yeah, but you could do this, or you could do that. And you get just to share ideas. So popping my bicones on. Morning, Lisa, how you doing? Mina says, it was the UPS driver yesterday was laughing and promised I wasn't buying too much. Well, if he's not paying, Mina, none of their business. There's worse things to be getting, isn't there? I missed my my delivery yesterday. I was out and it was too big to fit in the letterbox. So redelivery scheduled for today. Do you know what's bad though? I couldn't remember what it was. At first I was thinking, is this some sort of scam that I've been told I've got something delivered and you click this link and all the rest of it. But it wasn't. It was the proper company. I couldn't remember what I'd ordered. I wouldn't mind. It wasn't cheap either. I got lots. So adding on my bicones, bending just to leave a little gap. My pin's not quite straight there to begin with. They are lovely and soft, which I just think makes them perfect for turning loops. I mean, some pins I wouldn't recommend doing wrapped loop with, but these I actually would, because they're nice and malleable. They're strong enough, they'll hold the shape, and they'll hold the weight of a bead, no problem. So I'm making that kind of bit like a lollipop shape, I suppose. So you don't want that pin loop sitting directly on top of the beads. Anastasia says, this necklace reminds me of the star in the sky at night. They're just pretty. They're really pretty. I love a little bit of sparkle, and I think you're getting that with these because, you know, you've got, as I say, the shape of the bicone will just give those twinkles. Look at those twinkles. And the colours are gorgeous as well. It's the dodgiest turn I've ever done, but it doesn't matter. It's easily fixed. Okay, so Camille was suggesting if we attach them like this, we could make a little square. And I think that would be really cute. I think I've probably done some where we've made like diamond shapes. You could do lots of different things. You could make yourself a little pendant. You could play around with all of your, your pins, and you could make yourself a variety of different designs. You could do something like that for a centerpiece. You could connect them together and make, a really lovely kind of trellis, kind of crossing over design. Do all sorts with these, but we're keeping it simple. So all I would need to do, I don't think I'm going to do all 20 pins today. It's still only early, but it's very repetitive probably to watch. So I'm always making sure I'm placing that loop in between the last bicone. You've got that little bit of movement just to slide them up. You could, of course, do them where you just put one of the bicones on. That would work as well. So just find where the opening of the loop goes. And make sure that you close it down fully. So just opening like a jump ring really, I just flick to open, slide it on in between, and then back away to close. And you're going to create your lovely kind of linked effect. They do move round. Now, Elizabeth says, this is why I should never watch the lives as I get all the kids. Well, it's nice to have a choice, isn't it, Elizabeth? And I'll be honest, when I put this together, I had loads of fun putting the colours together. And I thought, well, we'll go for those sweet pea colours. So these ones in the opaque, and I put them together and I was like, they're absolutely gorgeous. And then when I actually put them together and I made it, because obviously I have a design in my head and then I pick all the bits that I think that I need. And sometimes I'll think, oh, I didn't put enough of this in, or I didn't put enough of that in. And I could have done all of one in, the blue, all of one pin necklace in the opaque pink, all of another in the white. And we could have had like hundreds to choose from. But I really liked mixing up the colours and thinking, what colours are going to complement each other. But then, as I say, when you actually come to making them, it does, well, it changes for me on my mood in terms of what I like. Today I'm kind of wearing more pinks. So I think this colourway would be really nice with the outfit that I'm wearing, which is probably why I've chosen to demo with this today. But I always go for blues. Blues are like my go-to on in terms of colour and jewellery, whether it be clothes or whatever. So on paper, I would have assumed this would be my favourite colourway. These aren't colours that I tend to wear. I love green, but I don't tend to wear like yellows. I was saying that I wore yellow yesterday. So, and then today I'm loving this one. So it's nice to have the option. And if you have all of the kits or more than one of the kit, you might be surprised to, what is your favourite. You might think, I would never have considered putting that colour together. And also now, if you have got all of the kits, you can change. So you can think, what, I'm going to see what maybe some of the purples look like with the blues and add one of those colours in together. Like this colour here would look gorgeous, I think, with So you could absolutely mix. You could say, I want to pop some zesty colours in, or really mix it up, you'll see how things complement each other and how colours change. So for example, this lemony one here would look really good amongst these colours, because they would be changing on what they're kind of interacting with. What was I up to? Easily distracted by this colour. So 6 on each. Bending my pin. And it's a nice make to do, you know, while you're sitting watching the telly or whatever, sitting in the garden. It's a nice make to do in the garden. Just make sure you pick up all your bits of pin. Right. So for my necklaces, I've used 20 pins. I haven't got 20 here today made up, but it works exactly the same. You can change the length that you want. You could just add more chain in if you wanted this section to be a little bit shorter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them all together till I'm happy with what I've got, and then I'm going to add my chain. Now what you will find is when I start to make this into a necklace, so if I've got them lined up here, I've got a loop on this end that I can just attach directly to my chain. Don't need a jump ring. I've got an openable loop here, but on this end I haven't. This end I've got the ball pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another pin and I'm going to just chop off that little ball tip, and I'm going to turn a loop. So I'm going to pop my pin right at the top, and I'm going to turn it all the way round into the P shape. And then I'm going to pop my plier back in and just knock the pin backwards. So I have that round pin shape. I'm then going to do exactly the same as I did before. I'm going to put 6 of my Bicone beads onto the pin in the same colour order as I have been doing. So going for that kind of light purple, beautiful, shimmering, that is definitely AB. There are colours of all sorts on that. That's the lemon chiffon, I think, and then the dark purple. And then exactly the same as I did before, I'm going to leave that little bit of space. I'm going to knock over my pin. In fact, you won't even need to leave that little bit of space on the last one because you've not got anything that's going to be linking into this. It's just going to be linking into the space on that. Give it a little trim off. And turn my loop on the other side. So again, making sure it's nice and flush, holding it down with my thumb, flicking it up and turning in little rotations all the way around. And now I've got a double connector on both ends. So I can do what I did before. I can open up one of the loops by giving it a little flick towards me, and I can slide that on between the first bicone and the other 5, and then I have a connector on both ends to attach my chain. Now I've only used, because I've used 20 pins in the body of the necklace, it's quite a good length, so I only thought I really needed just a little bit of chain to run round the very back of my neck. So I've cut about 10 centimeters here, and I'm going to cut it in half, so I've got 5 centimeters on each side. Again, if you wanted to change that up, you could make it longer. If you wanted to, if you want to add more chain, you absolutely can. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the last links through one of the pins, just so I can line up and see that that will be the center loop. And then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to open it up. And then I'm going to close that jump ring again, making sure it's perfectly closed. And now I will have 2 lengths of chain, which should be exactly the same length in size. So I'm not counting out or anything like that. And now all I need to do is attach my clasp. So I'm going to take 2 jump rings. They are 6x1 outer diameter in size. I'm going to use my 12mm lobster clasp, which is going to be in my kit. Of course, you're getting enough to make 2 necklaces, so you're going to get 4 of your jump rings and 2 of your clasps in your kit. And I'm going to take my 2 pairs of pliers, my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to open up 1 jump ring and attach to the last link of the chain, and then pop my lobster clasp through and close that up again, and then the same on the other side, just adding the jump ring through, and then I can close those together. And that's going to be how I open my necklace. And then I can just attach the chain directly to the pin. So I've got a loop now on one side. I'm going to give it a little flick up to open and make sure it's fully closed. So just closing that loop back up. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same. Open it up. Slide on the last link of the chain, which doesn't have the jump ring, and close that back up too. So it's a much smaller version, but this is my necklace. And again, you can play around with the shape and how you want them to be positioned. If you want it to have like a point at the bottom, then you can just flip it as you go. And I would say something like that. And there is your necklace, done and dusted. I hope you like them. They are the Ivy Crystal Pin necklaces. On our website, if you want to head over and have a look, they're all £9.99 each, which makes 2. We've got Lavender Fields, Sea Breeze, Summer Meadow, and Sweet Pea. So head over to the website and see what you like the look of the most and what you might want to purchase. And if not, you might just want to use it as a little bit of inspiration. Of course, you might have things in your stash. I think in terms of earrings, I would make them slightly smaller, but you could, I mean, these are quite long anyway, you can just have them as little earrings and dangle and connect them in the same way. You might want to just have 2 pins, 3 pins. You can always cut off your pins shorter. So if I've just got a couple of bicones, maybe 3 bicones in each colour, I'll have a shorter little stem to kind of interweave them together. Jan says, thank you, Natalie. They are very pretty. Anastasia is saying she hopes everybody has a blessed, wonderful day. Rachel says very pretty and sparkly. And Anastasia, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for being with me today. Really, really loved having you with me. I'm going to be back on Monday. I don't know what I'm making on Monday. I do know what I'm making on Wednesday. Wednesday we've got using some kind of magnetic beads to make like a chunky cuff bracelet, which is really straightforward make, but because they magnetize, they just lock together amazingly. So that's something I'm looking forward to. A little bit different. Again, it'd be nice, simple, straightforward makes next week. And I've got some more complicated ones coming up. I've also been working on a stitch project, which is really straightforward, but it will involve me with a needle and thread. And you know how I feel about that, but I'm really proud of them. They're looking really good so far. So yeah, get me. Hi Monica, how are you doing? I hope you all have a really, really lovely weekend. If the sun is shining where you are, don't forget to put your sun cream on. just on time. There's a knock on the door. I'm going to go get my parcel. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.